Hey, what's up guys? It's Phil and I'm filming outside today because this box is way too big to unbox inside. So this is the Monport 40 watt. It's a K40 style laser machine that they sent me to review. It's really big and it's very heavy. So let's get it unboxed and then I'll get it set up inside where we can really take a look at it. Okay, got pokey here, and poke. Alright. Now this is really interesting because they say that this is the only one of the K40 style lasers that will work with light burn. We'll see about that, see how well it works. Okay. There's more box inside. All right. Go. Lots of styrofoam. There we go. I was hoping the machine was going to be facing towards you, and it is. See if I can tilt it a bit. There we go. We've got a pouch with some safety glasses. It's very nice. A nice little zipper bag here with some extra supplies. Let's see. I've never used a K40 before, so I have no idea what a lot of the stuff is. This I know is a power cord. This looks like it's a USB cable. We've got a instruction manual. And a piece of acrylic, probably for testing with. Got a wrench, spanner, and looks like some hose clamps and tape. Okay, and what is in this box? This looks like some, yes, probably some lubricant. Alright. Put you all back in your bag, nice and safe. Manual in there. Alright. See if I can get some of this plastic off. Bring Pokey back out. See if I can take out some of the styrofoam. Alright, let's see if I can get out of the box. Very interesting. There's some LCD screens that already have numbers on them. I'm guessing maybe those are just sticker numbers. Alright, how do we get out of the box? Okay, inside we have more styrofoam. Another box. It says 110 volt, so I'm guessing that has something to do with the power cord. More styrofoam. Okay, here is the laser head. And if I get the styrofoam out of the way, we've got some venting hose, like what would go on the back of your clothes dryer. So that looks like everything that's in the box. Let's get it inside and take a look at it. Okay, we've got it all set up in my garage. I don't have a whole lot of room. Here you can see my green screens on the one side, and one of my lights is right on the right. So yeah, it's real tight. Yeah, so we're here in the garage and it's pretty chilly, which presents one of the problems. And this is not really a problem with the Monport, but pretty much all K40 lasers, I'm guessing, is that according to the manual, it says it needs to stay above 40 degrees in the ambient temperature. And it gets pretty chilly in here. There's been some times when it's come very close to that temperature, and I'm pretty sure in the next few weeks it will go below that. So I'm gonna have to move it out of here, and it's very heavy and very big and difficult to move. But anyway, for now, let's take a quick look around. Let's see, you can see I've got a thermometer up here showing the current temperature. But yeah, so okay, so over here we have the power switch, amp meter, the power for there's a knob to control power on it, and we have a little test button for test firing. Up here we have these, which I actually thought were stickers because apparently they work even when it's not plugged in. They show the temperature for the water, and it says for the LCD, which I guess is this. I don't know why you would need a temperature for this. Maybe it's really just for the whole panel. But anyway, we have emergency stop. So press it down and turn it to release. So that's good that it's big and it's right there, really easy to access. Okay, let's take a look inside. To open. And in here we'll see, here's the laser head. Okay, we have end stops over here, and there's an end stop in the back up there. Okay, and so here's the vent where it would, there's a fan back there and it would suck all the smoke out that way. Underneath of here, if I can get this open. Okay, underneath of here, I'll set that aside. We have a small working area where there's a clamp. You can put things in there and it'll hold them secure. That is a very small work area, so for small objects that would work. Otherwise, you can mainly just work on here. The work area is fairly small compared to most of the diode lasers. So yeah, so if you want to work on really big signs or something, this would not work for you. Okay, let's close the lid. Right, that's it for the front. Over here on the side, we have a USB port to plug into your computer. And some other videos that I've seen had a really big cutout around here, and people complained that they had to push the wire really far in. But this one looks really nice, so they must have improved it since the other people got their lasers. Okay, let's take a look around the back. Okay, sorry the lighting is not as good over here, but on the back we have power plug, there's ground wire, not 100% sure what that's for. This is an outlet. I guess you have two outlets for the water pump. Let's move over here. We have, this is where the hose will go to suck all the smoke out. Here we have the water inlet and outlet, and excuse the mess, but down here I have a bucket for the water, and I have a lid where I cut a hole in the top. We open the lid, there's about 2 gallons of water down there, as well as the pump. Now, interestingly, I mentioned this plug here. The pump, I found, automatically starts as soon as you plug it in. There's no on or off switch. So what I've discovered is if you plug it in here instead of a regular outlet, in here it'll only run while the machine is on. So that's something interesting. Okay, take a look inside, and I'll move my thermometer there. Inside. Okay, that's not going to stay up by itself. This did have a screw holding it shut. There's the laser, or the laser tube. Interestingly, in some other videos I've seen, they had this tube had a brand name label on it. I don't see that label on this one. I'm assuming it's the same brand name tube. Yep. So the laser, I can imagine, shoots out here, hits that mirror, goes into the hole down there, and glows up, and then it goes over here, hits another mirror, and then bounces over this way and hits the actual laser head. Okay, I forgot to show inside here. This also had a screw to open this up. So inside here we've got connections for, see, that'll be for the emergency stop, for the LCDs and the control panel. And then down here we have our power supply. I am told it's a very good power supply, but I have no idea. Down here, if I can flip upside down, we have the control panel. And it is Lightburn compatible. Whatever the extra screws, I just taped them to the side in here. Okay. So that's pretty much it from the outside. Let's actually start burning something. Okay, let's get the power turned on. There we go. There's a nice light in there. Looks real good. I did one quick little test with that piece of wood in there. And so in the manual here, we do have some settings that are recommended for a few different things. Over here we've got wood. I'll be using some of those to test and get started. And then I may need to tweak it from there. So let's get burning.
2,000 years later.
Okay, I'm back, and we're talking about this laser here, and it has been a little while. It's taken me a few months to make this entire video, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But first, let's look at some of the things I've made with it. So first, I wanted to take a look at this dragon image that I had done for some water bottles. But I did it on here and used, I think, some of the instructions that were in here. I think the tips that are in here are mainly for cutting, so I kind of had to play with it a little bit to figure it out. And so I started to do a test grid here, and it didn't quite work out. But then I figured it out anyway. And this dragon up here, it actually goes this way. It came out really good. I'm really happy with that. See, it says I used... took 30 minutes, and I did 3,000% at 50%, 3,000 speed at 50% power, which is pretty fast. Then I tried another smaller one. I did same thing, 50% power at 6,000, and it is smaller. That took 10 minutes, but you can see it's not quite as dark. So those came out really well. Okay, next up, I had some footage of me cutting out this little star and circle design, but I kind of lost the things that I cut. So I went ahead and did it again. And I used this wood. As you can see, I had to play with the settings a little bit till I got it quite right. But yep, we got we got a little one, and then I did another couple that are larger. Some of these didn't all the way cut through, and I had to kind of pop them out, and the wood got a little messed up. But the front looks good, so you could, just sand it down and it would look fine. This one came out almost perfect. A little sooty on the one side, but the other side looks good. Then I thought I'd try some slate coasters. So I did used up one of them to do a test grid. And the crazy thing is, so you can see the very top ones, the power was so high, it was actually melting the slate. So there's like bubbly burnt spots there, but the rest of them worked good, and you can now actually tell which one you want to use. So I picked one and made up this little coffee. Life begins after coffee. It was my own design. And I think that came out really well. I'm going to coat that with some polyacrylic or some other kind of clear coat, and it'll look really nice. Okay, that's it. And then finally, I decided to try something. Wanted to try making like a character, like an anime character, and using different types of wood for the different shades. I thought that would be cool. And so what I did was I got this 3mm plywood and cut her out. Now this design was actually created by Stable Diffusion, the AI. So there's no copyright to it. So I basically typed in, I said, give me a line art inked anime style girl in the style of Rumiko Takahashi, who some of you may know did Ranma 1/2 and Inuyasha, the Mermaid Saga. I was a big fan when I was a teenager. But yeah, so it came up with a few images, and I picked one and cleaned it up a little bit just to make it better for lasering. And yeah, and I had to try a few different times before I got the right settings, but it popped out great. It came out really good. And then for her hair, I had this other piece of wood that I stained and cut out her hair. And so here's one of the tests. The problem that I had was, I don't know why this happened, but it was engraving the details on her face and shirt, and it was working fine horizontally, but not vertically. So the vertical lines and some of the lines from her face just weren't coming out. So I don't know what caused that, but I did it again, and I ran it several times, and here we go. It's still not perfect with the vertical lines in her shirt, but I think she came out pretty good. And her hair, if I can do it, is detachable. There we go. So yeah, it's two separate pieces. Oh, I think I just broke it. Oh no, okay, it was two parts. Okay. Okay, yeah. And that'll go in there, and then I guess you could stick piece of wood on the back and glue it just to hold it in place. And I think she looked really good. And that was a fun project. Okay, I don't know. Now, as for the laser itself, it works really well for what it is. It does exactly what it's intended to do, and it does it well. It's pretty fast, but I made up a list of pros and cons here. Okay, we'll go with the pros first. It is fast compared to most diode lasers, because it is 40 watts, which means the extra power means you can go faster. Pro, it comes fully assembled. You basically take it out of the box, take a little bit of styrofoam out of it and plug it in, and it's pretty much ready to go. Another pro, it's fully enclosed, so any kind of smoke will go out the tube in the back and go out through your window or door or something. Yep, as I mentioned, another pro, it is 40 watts, so it has more power, so it might be able to cut deeper into certain types of wood, whereas you might have a little trouble with that with a diode laser. Now, the cons. It is really big and really heavy. It's about 60 pounds, which is not too bad. I can pick up 60 pounds this way, but when your arms are spread out really wide, it's a lot harder to lift 60 pounds. So if you want to set it up somewhere, it would be a great idea to set it up there and leave it. So unlike a diode laser, most of which you can just easily pick them up with like one finger and then, you know, put them away, lean it up against the wall, put it in a closet, and just get it out of the way when you're not using it. Another con, the maintenance of it. Constantly having to clean all the mirrors, and water cooling. I have a bucket there with water that has to circulate through it and keep it at just the right temperature. Yeah, that's kind of a pain in the butt. If you don't use the bucket, you can buy a water chiller. So that's an extra, I'm not sure exactly, a couple $100 maybe. And that's one more thing that has to be powered and has to have space to go. So another con is that it has a small working area. So I think pretty much, let's move this. It's 8 by 12, so this is just about the biggest thing that'll fit in there. Whereas the diode lasers, I did this on one of them, and there was no problem fitting this in there. I could have even put larger wood in there. So it would be great if you do a ton of small things like these coasters, and you can just lay them out and do them all at once quickly. But if you want to do large signs or something like that, it's just not going to work. Another thing to note is that I noticed when I was setting it up, there's a sticker on there that specifically says, do not use it for metal. So, I mean, I don't know if, yeah, I have one of these old metal dog tags here that I did on a diode laser, and it was fine. So, I'm not sure what the problem is with using metal in there, but it says not to do it, so I wasn't going to risk it. I put down here as a con that it's kind of complicated, and part of that is that if you're using Lightburn on your computer, Lightburn has its own power settings that you can send to it, but this also has this knob for power settings on the machine. So it's a little confusing figuring out the different settings either on the software or on the machine itself. I basically just set that at one point and left it. That seemed to work out. And my final con is the ambient temperature. The temperature around the printer or the laser has to be at a certain level. Like, it can't get too hot, it can't get too cold. And that was the big problem. When I started this review in the fall, it was starting to get a little bit chilly. And then during the winter, it just got really cold. We're here in my garage, and there's, it's not temperature controlled or climate controlled in here. So when it gets really cold outside, it gets cold in here. And I was not able to use the laser for big sections of the winter. So it was really tough to work out times when the temperature was right and I was able to, I had time to actually work on it. So that explains why it took me several months to finish this video. So if you were going to get one of these, it would be best if you're doing it either indoors or you have a dedicated workshop that is climate controlled. But overall, like I said, for a hobbyist, I probably would not recommend it. If you have a small business that makes coasters or small things, it would probably be good. So that's it. I hope you liked my review of this Monport 40-watt laser. And please leave a comment if you have any questions. I will attempt to answer them. I'm not an expert, but I'll try. And leave a like if you like the video, and please subscribe. Click that little bell next to the subscribe button so that you can tell when my new videos come out. And I will see you next time.